Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. Now, today's podcast guest is a published author who hails from the Garden State of New Jersey. What's truly interesting about her is she writes both children's books and graphic novels. Will you please welcome the lovely Tootsie Barron. Tootsie, how are you doing, hon?
I'm just fine, sweetheart, and I'm so glad to be on your show. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're out on today. Now, let's talk about the fact that you being a writer, when did your journey start to be an author? Was it something that you did as a child or something that you developed in your teens, 20s? Where did that come from?
Well, I would probably say it developed when I was about 7 years old. I took my first shot at writing a poem, which, by the way, of all the venues I write in, and I write all of them, including a song I have written, which I'm about to put up for sale.
Really?
Poetry is actually my favorite.
Oh, so good.
I write everything, but poetry is my favorite. I believe I wrote my first poem for my father for Father's Day when I was about 7 years old.
Oh, wonderful.
And then as years went on, I was an English major for a short time until my life took me in a different direction. And I always wanted to write. And I had a few setbacks. For instance, my husband got Alzheimer's. I took care of him. But while he was still for many years, and he died in my arms as he should have.
I'm sorry, hon.
And while he was still very lucid, he said to me, after I am gone, because he had already gotten it, the doctor told him right to his face, you have Alzheimer's. That didn't go over too well. But he said to me, after I'm gone, pick up the pen and fulfill your destiny.
Wow, that's special. When did this happen? When did you lose your husband? And once again, our condolences on losing your husband.
Oh, well, I lost my husband. It's over 14 and a half years ago.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, and he of course was in the last stages of Alzheimer's when he died in my arms.
Mm-hmm.
But when he took pick up the pen, that was about 5 years before that.
5 years before that.
However, when he passed away, he was the love of my life, and it took me 3 years to get before I could even ever think about picking up a pen.
Right.
5 every night for a few minutes until I got. But when I did recover 3 years later, that is in fact when I picked up the pen and I got started. And I wrote the children's book first.
Right.
I Can See the Rainbow.
Right. Now, that particular book was inspired because of the loss of your dog. You lost your husband, then you lost your pet. And
that's right.
This book was written from a child's perspective on letting them know that your pet has gone to a better place. Can you without giving away too much, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I got to thinking, with all the loss I suffered, the loss of my Papillon, and in fact, I had 2 Papillons. I lost both of them.
Oh my goodness!
And my husband prior to that, and I got to thinking to myself, when I lost my boy, as I called them, my little princes, just how tough that was on me. And I got to thinking, what is it like for a child who has had a pet, a family pet, and our family pets, they're more like family.
Oh, yeah,
pets.
Absolutely. I could speak for the cat that just walked across the board.
They own us. Let's face it, they own us.
This cat got me up at 4:00 this morning, too, Tootsie. Just, so go ahead with your book. What you talking about the book there, darling?
I gave it some thought, and I said to myself, I've got to do something about this. I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to write it, and I'm going to let my Papillon, Boy Scout. It's the story of my second Papillon, Boy Scout, and I'm going to let him do the talking.
Oh, wonderful!
Which he does. I don't do the talking in that book. He does. And he's going to show them that he's okay, what it's like to have been loved by the right people. That's the point I'm making. He's showing the love. He's telling them how much they love us. See, it's always about how much we love our pets.
Mm-hmm.
But really, go inside the other way around. It is the other way around. Well, then they love us just as much, if not more. What are they feeling? Mm-hmm. And that's what I wanted the children to see. And that's why it got the great review that it did get.
Awesome.
Because it's a tough subject to introduce young children into the subject of death, which is a part of life, and they will learn it sooner or later. And that's why I wanted the puppy to do it. And it was to introduce them, let them know that when they cross over, it's okay. They're going to go to a beautiful place, and I wanted them to see that. And if you read the reviews I got on that book, they're better than sugar paper. They said the way I did it with the children couldn't have been any better, because especially because it's in repetition rhyme. That's how children learn in school. Repetition.
Yep.
They learn by saying over, and it's the young ones, mm-hmm. over and over again. And as I said, and I can see the Rainbow Bridge. It was perfect for the children, and it really did get great reviews.
Awesome, very good. Have you heard from teachers and what they thought of it?
Yeah, was that included? Yes, I have heard from teachers, and I've heard from mothers of students that heard from the teachers, and they thought it was done the way it should have been done.
Wonderful. That
particular subject, and I've never heard one negative about I Can See the Rainbow Bridge.
Very good, very good. Now, your writing process, when you're a creative person, I'm a creative person, you're a creative person, do you have any specific rituals or routines or a space that you like to go to when you write? Or does it just flow directly from wherever the ether into you?
Well, no, I have a bit of a routine. I like to write late afternoon, early evening.
Okay.
That's my favorite time to write. I always write from home, almost always write from home, because like most authors, I'm pretty much a recluse. Uh-huh. This is where I stay most of the time. And I write from my bedroom. I sit up on the bed, and I'm very comfortable. And this is where I write. Now, I can have the TV on, and I can listen to the TV and write it simultaneously. It doesn't interfere.
Well, I can't do that. That's one thing I cannot do, is I cannot have an outside source when I'm writing something. I want to stay focused on what I'm writing, because let's say I'm not the most grammatic person. I thank God for some of this artificial intelligence that says, no, I think that's a preposition. You shouldn't be doing it like that. It's... I think I forgot some of the stuff that I learned in school there, Tootsie.
But it's mostly, I love what I do. And I was going to write. Sugar paper was my destiny, mm-hmm. that I would write paper. I was born and raised in Jersey City. I grew up with a bunch of wise guys. Mm-hmm. Wise guys. My whole life. As a matter of fact, I think I was married to two of them.
Oh, no. Well, we'll talk about that in just a second. I wanted to ask you the question, as far as you've got two different books, totally different concepts. You've got the children's book and you've got a graphic novel. How do you approach storytelling differently when creative content for children versus graphic novels, which are aimed at an adult audience?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I can go wherever my imagination takes me. Whatever the subject I'm thinking of, I can go right into it.
Okay.
And I don't have a problem. In fact, the sequel to I Can See the Rainbow Bridge it's the continuation, and it's called Will You Be There? when I called to you.
Ooh.
I think that's production this week.
Oh.
That's going to be out very
In 2024, it'll be out. Wonderful. Awesome. We'll have to, you'll have to get back with me on when that comes out, and we'll have to do an update or so. What do you think, huh?
I would love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before we continue, I hope you're enjoying the Someone You Should Know podcast. I'd like to say thank you so much for those of you who are listening today. And you can find us on the World Wide Web at SomeoneYouShouldKnowPodcast.com. There you're going to find recent news, archive of past episodes, and a whole lot more. If you happen to be visiting for the very first time, we invite you to leave us a review, too. Now, according to Buzzsprout, the service that shares us to all the different podcast platforms, all the streaming platforms, we're very blessed to reach over 1,900 cities in 85 countries around the world. And we like to salute a couple of them. Since Tootsie is from New Jersey, here's some from your guest state. Okay, here we go. Atlantic City, Bayonne, Belmar, Bloomfield, Bud Lake, New Butler, Cassville, Cherry Hill, Clifton, East Orange, and Egg Harbor. Just to name a few, Tootsie, just to let you know that some of your friends and neighbors are listening in today, too, okay? The Someone You Should Know podcast, the Someone You Should Know podcast, heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. And we're back to our interview with Tootsie Barron here. And Tootsie, the more graphic one is called Sugar Paper. It's not for the faint of heart. It's rather graphic where it needs to be. Sometimes downright raunchy when it needs to be, too. So is this like a literary depiction of The Sopranos or maybe Goodfellas? Or what exactly is it?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm an aficionado, and I absolutely love anything mobbed up. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, I came from that an Italian section in Jersey City. But in my humble opinion, if you want to really depict what wise guys are really like, Goodfellas runs away with it. It's the best of them all. And exactly what you see in that movie is exactly the way they are. And I know them very well. So much so that I was able to write about them.
Oh, very good.
And as you know, I don't know if you are aware, before I ever wrote Sugar Paper many years ago, I'm going to go back about over 30 years ago.
Oh, my.
I did get from The Godfather to write Sugar Paper somewhere in the future. However, it came with two stipulations. I had to wait a minimum of 25 years to write it. And that's pretty much self-explanatory because too many people, even though it's a work of fiction, would identify with themselves. And we could not let that, they would not allow that to happen. Time has to move on. People die. People go to jail. People are one way or the other taken out of the business. They needed that span, that time in between, because too many people might try to identify with it, even though it's a work of fiction.
Right.
But
my wife always said, I like to write a book about things, but I have to wait for all these people to die off. So I see your standpoint, how you have to do that. Yeah. So The Godfather, you talked to The Godfather, and he said you had to wait a minimum of 25 years. What was the other stipulation?
Well, and he gave me the blessing. I stood in front of him, and he did give me the blessing, and he had a witness. And the second stipulation was I could never write one word down. Could not keep a journal, could not keep notes. Anything I wanted to write would have to come from memory and, of course, be made up. I had to give him my word on that. Mm-hmm. And that is for obvious reasons. If the law had ever come in, if they found those notes, that would have been deemed as evidence. Wow. So that was a total no-no. So I had to swear to that, and I did. And I ended up, and I had to wait a minimum, I told you, of 25 years. I ended up waiting more than that because I took care of a sick husband in between. Right. And the dust, settled. I did exactly what he told me. Pick up the pen and fulfill your destiny. You Sugar Paper has always been my destiny. Wow. And I also wrote the screen. I don't know if you're aware. I wrote the screenplay that goes with it, which is up for sale right now in Hollywood.
Wonderful.
Trying to sell it.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, wow. That's something to look for down in the future then. Whose viewpoint is the book written from?
From Kiki's viewpoint. She's my heroine.
Okay.
There were two members. Kiki is the heroine. Her godfather, who she calls Uncle, the protagonist. He's the main man, the main character. And she's telling the story, of course. And again, with the blessing. And that's how it all got started. And it is a work of fiction. I have to come right out and say that. But like I said, there's people out there that might identify themselves. So that's why it had to take so many years to get it going, It has to be accurate, such as all the games, when we get into the sports. The parts that have to be accurate are 100% accurate. They were researched, and they are accurate. What can be fiction is all fiction.
Now, Tootsie, the children's book was directed to kids facing grief of the loss of a pet. Sugar Paper's directed to whom?
Well, it's to the same market that if history has taught us one thing, mob movies and mob stories, they make all the money.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, absolutely. When you look at the number one movie of all time is The Godfather.
Exactly. And it speaks for itself. And, people are fascinated with the mob. What sets this one apart is the fact that it's the only one, to our knowledge, ever been done by a woman. This has never been done by a woman.
There you go. That's absolutely right. You think of Mario Puzo. How does your book compare to Mario's?
Oh, well, in my humble opinion, Mario Puzo was just a genius of an author and a storyteller. Mm-hmm. He's phenomenal, and he brought those characters to life just the way they should have been. Not too over the top, not too under, and he was very good at what he did, and he wrote other things as well. And no matter what he wrote, he was wonderful at. And that's why The Godfather will always be the classic, that it is.
Once Hollywood sees your screenplay, maybe it might be right up there, too.
Well, if they put their money where their mouth is, and if they mean what they say, Hollywood's been chirping for the last few years. Right before the pandemic, and then, of course, everybody got stopped. Mm-hmm. But they want more work from women. Because it's a male-dominated profession. It really is. And they want to be more inclusive. Well, I say to all of them out there, stop chirping. I've got it. Come and get it.
Show me the money, too, right?
And it'll be a bucket. Because if it does, what they all do, what they're expected to do, the mob movies, and become a blockbuster, now you're going to be talking about a drop in the bucket. You know what I'm saying? but it's time. It's time for a woman to do something that's, number one, it's never been done by a woman, to anybody's now, to our knowledge. And it may very well open the doors for women to come in there and do something that hasn't been done. And open the doors for other women. That's why my heroine in this book is a woman, for that reason.
Awesome, very good. Now, where are the books available at, Tootsie?
Amazon. I know everybody. I know what it's Barnes and Noble, but definitely, I was out the other day, and while I was there, I signed one copy. Somebody bought two other copies right in front of me while I was there on Amazon.
That's sweet. That's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I will include those down in the show notes, so anyone's interested in the children's book or also the graphic novel, they will be down in the show notes, so you can get those at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. I'll put some links down there. Tootsie, how about some links to your socials as far as where can we find you if we wanted to find a little bit more about the upcoming book, the follow-up to I Can See the Rainbow Bridge?
Well, okay, I have my own website. It's TootsieBarron.com.
Okay.
And all my work is on there, including the reviews of my book. That's on the site. And anything that's coming up will be on the site. And basically, that's just it's my site, but it's about all my work. Up to date as far as telling you what's going on.
Awesome. Very good. And you say the follow-up to I Can See the Rainbow Bridge is expected in 2024 sometime. Is that correct?
Yes.
We're speaking with Tootsie Barron. Tootsie, it's been a wonderful journey talking with you today. I hope you had a little fun with it, too, and hope you sell a couple million copies of your books and your screenplay.
Thank you so much. That's my goal, and I'll never quit trying, I'll tell you that.
Thank you again, Tootsie. Thanks for being the latest member of our family here at the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. Thank you for having me, and I hope to come back real soon.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.